Welcome to the second round of the Axis Football Draft. From here to the final pick of the draft, we will say the pick number and the player's name along with position. At the end of the draft, we will showcase every team's full selection of draft picks alongside with their projected grades for their leap to the Pro League. Now, on to the 2020 draft. With the 37th pick, the Louisiana Gators select Raymond Roberts, wide receiver. With the 38th pick, the Philadelphia Express select Zachary Ortiz, tight end. With the 39th pick, the Cleveland Coyotes select Ernest Blair, wide receiver. With the 40th pick, the Mexico City Jaguars select Brandon Holt, linebacker. With the 41st pick, the St. Louis Racers select Jovan Crawford, linebacker. With the 42nd pick, the Winnipeg Devil Cats select Jamal Shelton, linebacker. With the 43rd pick, the San Francisco Sharks select Rodrigo Dennis, wide receiver. With the 44th pick, the Buffalo Indians select Enrique Phelps, running back. With the 45th pick, the Green Bay Axemen select Warren Barber, running back. With the 46th pick, the Houston Bombers select Lee Bolton, defensive lineman. With the 47th pick, the Kansas City Wranglers select Andrew Ramos, running back. With the 48th pick, the Kansas City Wranglers select Ricardo Huff, defensive lineman. With the 49th pick, the Washington Senators select Chad Thornton, wide receiver. With the 50th pick, the Indianapolis Gladiators select Keegan Rios, wide receiver. With the 51st pick, the Tennessee Bloodhounds select Casey Emmons, wide receiver. With the 52nd pick, the Pittsburgh Ironhawks select Kenny Gibson, wide receiver. With the 53rd pick, the Arizona Heat select Nelson Shaw, linebacker. With the 54th pick, the Dallas Lawmen select Hunter Robertson, wide receiver. With the 55th pick, the Seattle Bruins select Bradley Babcock, quarterback. With the 56th pick, the Baltimore Braves select Darian Colvin, wide receiver. With the 57th pick, the Las Vegas Outlaws select Garrett Howard, wide receiver. With the 58th pick, the Denver Mountaineers select Rodney Little, defensive lineman. With the 59th pick, the Oklahoma City Cyclones select Oliver Ruiz, quarterback. With the 60th pick, the Boston Whalers select Travis Carr, linebacker. With the 61st pick, the Cincinnati Royals select Derek Miller, wide receiver. With the 62nd pick, the Vancouver Mallards select Bailey Copeland, linebacker. With the 63rd pick, the Montreal Terrapins select Caden Glover, linebacker. With the 64th pick, the Detroit Firebirds select Devin Klein, wide receiver. With the 65th pick, the Nebraska Thunder select Andy Smith, quarterback. With the 66th pick, the Minnesota Pride select Connor Brooks, linebacker. With the 67th pick, the Chicago Blackhawks select Darius Webb, defensive back. With the 68th pick, the Los Angeles Tide select Fabian Schwartz, tight end. With the 69th pick, the Atlanta Razorbacks select Skylar Carlson, running back. With the 70th pick, the New York Barons select Leonardo Robertson, wide receiver. With the 71st pick, the Orlando Rockets select Walker Casey, wide receiver. With the 72nd pick, the Carolina Rebels select Diego Armstrong, offensive lineman. This concludes the second round of the 2020 Axis Football Draft. The third round will begin momentarily. Welcome to the third round of the 2020 draft. With the 73rd pick, the Louisiana Gators select Emmanuel Robertson, quarterback. With the 74th pick, the Philadelphia Express select Daniel Brown, quarterback. With the 75th pick, the Cleveland Coyotes select Hector Floyd, offensive lineman. With the 76th pick, the Mexico City Jaguars select Ross Robertson, defensive lineman. With the 77th pick, the St. Louis Racers select Craig Wilson, defensive lineman. With the 78th pick, the Winnipeg Devil Cats select Ty Douglas, defensive lineman. With the 79th pick, the San Francisco Sharks select James Walker, defensive lineman. With the 80th pick, the Buffalo Indians select Casey Hayes, quarterback. With the 81st pick, the Green Bay Axemen select Gustavo Curtis, wide receiver. With the 82nd pick, the Houston Bombers select DeAndre Randall, running back. With the 83rd pick, the Miami Warriors select Guy Yelverton, quarterback. With the 84th pick, the Kansas City Wranglers select Todd Nunez, defensive back. With the 85th pick, the Washington Senators select Armando Boyd, running back. With the 86th pick, the Indianapolis Gladiators select Houston Scott, linebacker. With the 87th pick, the Tennessee Bloodhounds select Jordan Larson, offensive lineman. With the 88th pick, the Pittsburgh Ironhawks select Justin Ostock, quarterback. With the 89th pick, the Arizona Heat select Jesse Bowers, defensive back. With the 90th pick, the Dallas Lawmen select Eduardo Peterson, defensive back. With the 55th pick, the Seattle Bruins select Bradley Babcock, quarterback. With the 92nd pick, the Baltimore Braves select Zachary Mullins, defensive back. With the 93rd pick, the Las Vegas Outlaws select Guillermo O'Brien, defensive back. With the 58th pick, the Denver Mountaineers select Rodney Little, defensive lineman. With the 95th pick, the Oklahoma City Cyclones select Willie Little, quarterback. With the 96th pick, the Boston Whalers select Bradley Underwood, quarterback. With the 97th pick, the Cincinnati Royals select Eli Hain, running back. With the 98th pick, the Vancouver Mallards select Caesar Harper, running back. With the 99th pick, the Montreal Terrapins select Marco Black, defensive back. With the 100th pick, the Detroit Firebirds select Peyton James, defensive back. With the 65th pick, the Nebraska Thunder select Andy Smith, quarterback. With the 102nd pick, the Minnesota Pride select Marcus Leonard, defensive back. With the 67th pick, the Chicago Blackhawks select Darius Webb, defensive back. With the 104th pick, the Los Angeles Tide select Evan Connor, defensive lineman. With the 105th pick, the Atlanta Razorbacks select Tristan Estrada, offensive lineman. With the 106th pick, the New York Barons select Khalil Hall, offensive lineman. With the 107th pick, the Orlando Rockets select Damon Fernandez, offensive lineman. With the 108th pick, the Carolina Rebels select Devin Hernandez, offensive lineman. This concludes the third round. Thank you for tuning in and watching rounds 2 and 3 of the Axis Football Draft. Rounds 4 through 7 will be presented tomorrow, followed by each team's draft results. Stay safe, and we hope you return tomorrow.